Ngiyabonga. Ntshebe gang.
Osontshebe.
No, but they say a good beard always shows the fertility of the land. You know? So when the ground is fertile, then you bonakala nenjebe nje ihlanya.
Nazo.
Wakhona abanye ayimili nokumila ubona.
Don't do that.
Don't
do that.
The drylands. But I think it will be very nice. I mean, on many subjects that we can cover. For today, I have 7 major streams of information. Because when you're doing public speaking sometimes and in a space where we are decolonizing the African mind, we needed to have thought through the process itself so that when we begin to attack the system, we know exactly at which angle are we focusing on. So on the top side is the politics and governance, which speaks basically of the legalities, the laws, the frameworks of managing the black mind and how the colonial system is actually sitting there. When you hear the young politicians, even old politicians, talking about the rule of law, our constitution, our this, our that, you know that it is a recited information, which is already showing that your mind has been captured. To think that a colonialist method of governance is superior to your own indigenous method of governance. So that needs to be decolonized. So our opposition parties and our leading parties, they don't need to get into power to manage a colonial system, but to transform it. Because all the legal systems, government institutions are bodies of restrictions for black people to break into the space of business. So they're all the legalities. You can't do this. You must get a book for this. You must get a regulation for this. You must get a certificate for this. If you look at it very carefully, and you end up finding out, like even the issue of these illegal miners, who says they're illegal? Because a black man is holding gold is illegal. When an Anglo has been digging here for donkey years, they are legal miners. Why? Because the governance system allows only a few people to hold the gold. So even if you have gold underneath your house, you can't hold it.
You can't.
Because it's illegal. You must have a certificate from the government too. So the legality part, which for me becomes the very first, which is the governance and legality, needs to be decolonized. So that when a local person is holding their resources, they can't be illegal than the illegal multinational who is actually claiming that he has rights to your land and to hold your resources, which you can't hold yourself. And second on that will be the issue of education, which is what I might want us to focus on the first part of the show itself.
I think it would be nice to start with education.
Education, and what is it? So I'll leave that, because that's what we're going to be discussing. And on the third part of that is the business and commerce. And what informs that? And there is banking also, right in the business space. Who is allowed to do business and who can't do business, and what kind of business? What are the means of transactions? And where is the money being kept, and how is it recycled? How do black people get finances, and how do they pay back their loans? What are these sureties, and who has the access to the land, which is the surety for the bank and the insurances? It's all this structure where you find that the business sits on when they are saying our economy is doing well.
Yes.
You hear them talking in an exciting way. Our economy. And you look at them very well and said, are you sure it is your economy? Which part of it is yours? You have all servants and slaves here. It's about employment to you as black people. To them, it's about ownership.
100%.
So it's your governance systems, then comes your education, then comes your business and commerce. And thirdly on that, it will come agriculture. Agriculture, and what does it inform? Who supplies food for us? We need to decolonize even the food itself, what we drink and what we eat. Because what without knowing it, the next level, which is the health, speaks to that. Because what we eat results in how we are being treated.
Yes.
So, and lots of rules there again. Who plants what, who does not plant what, which health system is acceptable, which medication is acceptable, which ones are not acceptable. And acceptable according to who? I mean, the other day, talking about the Mhlonyana here, and said, we have not done tests. Like hell no. Testing what when our people have been drinking this for the past 3,000 years?
They've been testing
which
it
Which other tests do you want to test? When are telling you that this is how we've been living for thousands of years.
According to whose standards?
According to whose standards. Then last but not least on that, then you have your entertainment and sporting. Even now people are excited about sports. But you look at it, I mean, you look at Mlabalaba, the old game, which was mathematical. 2 here, 3 there, 4 there. Roll them around into calculating, into adding, rather than just boys chasing a skin of a dead ox, which is a dead mind game. I'm sorry for soccer lovers. I'm a Pirates, I'm a Chelsea, I'm a Man United.
I'm a Highlander.
People buy Highlanders.
Highlanders in Zimbabwe.
People buying uniforms and jerseys.
Highlanders and Zimbabwe.
Yeah. abafana bakwaBulawayo.
Ipakania yasezimo.
Kwantutu ziyathunga. So you look at our entertainment and sports and how much colonization has gone in there.
Yeah.
What we say sports right now, it's cricket, it's rugby, it's soccer, it's snooker, it's what? And you look at our African games.
It's tennis.
And yeah.
Ama-sports wabelungu.
So
How are they building us, I think, is what he's touching on.
Yeah, I guess.
And again, you find that a black man running an African company, he will take money to invest into white games. And what makes these games alive is simply because people are able to put money into it. The other day, I noticed people were climbing trees. This is a sport. Can you believe? Climbing trees, literally, like riding bicycles. So can't we find our own indigenous games and make them commercial and also be able to put money into that? Then that speaks also to fashion and clothing. And lastly, that's my department, spirituality and religion. So when you're looking at decolonization as a project itself on these 7 pillars, then you need to understand that many people now rush to me when I'm talking about the Jesus story. No, they want to come and toy around me and say, hey, my friend, leave me with religion. There are 6 other departments there that equally need your mind. So all of us, professionally in our various spheres of skills, we need to go back into those spheres and influence the transformation and the decolonization that we need. So that not one man fighting only from the religious corner. But instead, the commercial guys must come forward, creating new banks, new insurance companies. The education guys must come in, creating new curriculums. The innovations and agricultural guys must be coming with indigenous plants and foods and diets and drinks and what. And so that the revolution burns the whole bush. For me, that becomes an all-inclusive.
Comes from all directions.
So don't come on these platforms and complain about what SBU is doing and what Panuel is not doing, what Maponga is not doing. People always have recommendations. You must be doing this. You must be doing this. I said, hell no, I don't work for you. Find your space in the struggle.
Yes.
Take your skills there. Start the transformation, even in small little things. Let the revolution be for all of us.
Jeez. Education, please keep going. Tina sizofunda.
Education, formal and informal. Formal again, according to who? Informal, according to who? This is funny, because what you call informal education is actually the formal education. Because the informal education prepares you to work. Actually, it is the education that is not written on paper. It is what you do as you learn, and you learn as you do. Whereas the formal one is where you must do the bookish knowledge system first in a university, and in conclusion, then you must write a CV. Then you show us what you have studied, but you can't do it. Then you say you're educated. So the African education is called informal.
Yeah.
Of course. The one that actually is practical.
But informal education creates some of the most sophisticated things that you can ever imagine, which CNC machines would struggle to make, and we call that informal education. But when you look, let me just look maybe squarely well into what they call the formal education structure. And maybe speak of its advantage first and its disadvantage next. The advantage of the formal education, it standardizes knowledge systems across the globe so that you are able to know what everybody else knows around the world there. Beautiful. It's a waste of time in that the greater percentage of what you're studying from primary school to university is totally junk in the bag. You will not even remember what you studied.
That's a fact. That's why parents struggle to help their children with the homework.
Yeah.
Because it's not practical. You learned it, but you...
Besifundela ukuphasa.
Yeah, phela.
Besikrema.
No, we used to spot my exam papers and see which one is coming. And then if you strike the one that is coming, shama A.
Sure.
So how...
What geja isan?
Hey, you study paper wrong, you know.
Sure.
So kids memorize answers. And because you can regurgitate those answers, you are called educated.
Sometimes evava kade basibhalela ama exam. Thina ngithi amahasla ndoda sezinyuku. Sona kuzobhalwa.
I've heard those stories.
Mathiana uyazi ngesikhathi sakho uyadlala bafethu.
Unezi student number. I've heard those stories.
I've got time to make money. I don't have time to be
those stories.
and listening to the lecture the whole year. No.
Sure.
I'm hustling on campus, bro.
Yeah. So if you look at our education system, maybe let's not waste time with arguments. Let me go exactly with what I want to say. Then we can actually be able to, we can engage on this one.
Yes, sir.
I feel I want to give you, for this afternoon in the Hustlers Corner, I want to give you a template, a blueprint of what I think education should be like, particularly for the African child post-21st century. Our education must not be from learning to employment. Our education must be from problem to solution. Let me clarify that. What do I mean by that? It means that a student firstly goes into the community, takes off their shoes, and they walk around the community. They identify the problems in the community, be it water, be it transport, be it communication, be it food, be it anything that you identify. Then after you have identified your problem, then you must come up with what I call a position paper or a proposal. Write a piece of paper, not make it complicated like it's a business plan. Just explain what you have seen and what kind of a problem it is, how the people are feeling about the problem, and how do you feel about the problem. Take that piece of paper, walk up to an academic institution, and study for the next 3 to 4 years how to solve
This particular
this
problem.
problem that is in my community. And while you are studying, you start networking. Namanya Makhrutman, who can bring solutions into the same problem. By the time you complete studying here, you actually have a business plan.
Yes.
If the government was serious in terms of youth development funding, this is the group that needed to be funded, who already have studied the problem for 4 years. Enough practicals, enough theories. By the time they get out of university, they got to implement the solution which they identified and they have studied. And now they're implementing. And I think it creates a seamless value chain between the students and their network and them amassing the resources in the community and creating their own businesses, which for me is a perfect solution. So instead of having universities that are waiting for students to come and say, what am I supposed to study? And after they finish studying, they still don't know where they're going to work. And then we talk about unemployment.
You're suggesting the other way. The student must approach the institution with documented problems in detail.
The institution.
These are the problems I want you guys to help me to solve.
Then all the professors become referrals. Imagine in Twane, we are going, I want to start a radio station. When I DJs, you are the teacher there. So what are you going to be doing in that radio station? For the next 4 years, in Twana Lay, if you develop a content. Okay, I'm a morning shows fun. So I say what drive a ganj. Afternoon lunch, see share ganj. Afternoon drive, beto ganj. Night drive, share ganj. Other people, you are there now as a source of information and experience. So people like us will be sitting in the university there to share information with the young people. In that case, you don't need to be a doctor and a professor. If anyone wants to write a book, for example, I've done 15 books in total. I cannot fail to share information on how to write, how to read, how to proofread, what systems do you need to place your book out there and package it and etc. So that universities actually become reference centers of problem solving rather than regurgitating centers of telling us in what other people have done in the past. And when something, these guys who are senior lecturers in commerce, has never done even a business. He's a poor guy.
That is true.
He's giving you all the research on how to make money and how to how does a business and the economy work. And how can you teach me entrepreneurship? You've never sold even a toothbrush or a toothpick. So you find that our universities must actually be populated with real mentors, who are the lecturers. And by mentors, I mean people who have walked the path, who have the experience. The young people come into class, informal class or formal class, to be sharing experiences. So after you've done the water, how is it going to help me who wants to do agriculture? And who have done in your agriculture, how am I going to assist because I want to do transport? Okay, me, I'm going to do transport. So how am I going to assist because I want to do fuel? And then you begin to look at these communities as studying not away from themselves. They are studying back into themselves. Right now, the education system we have is a passport of escaping poverty in Africa.
100%.
Immediately you hold your degree, the next thing you want is a passport.
Yes.
Here we are as commercial immigrants from Zimbabwe. Graduated, 2 degrees behind my back, my passport. And where can I work? Where can I work? Then students are slowly and quickly migrating away from their problems and leaving their parents and families in the same poverty that they were in to be looking for employment elsewhere. By the time we are talking about immigration and other things, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about a poor education program that made you so educated that you became irrelevant to your own community.
I'm a commercial immigrant myself from KwaZulu. I came to Johannesburg for money after being educated.
Even this whole Dudula process, we must be careful because 60% of everyone in Johannesburg is migrant labor children. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's migrant labor.
Realistically, because we understand how strong the colonization project is, we understand how powerful capitalism is. Do you think realistically it's possible for us to decolonize and decommodify education so that it's solving problems? There's an amazing song by Dead Prez called They Schools that I listened to in varsity, and it was a huge awakening for me during that whole phase, and it's a school I recommend for a lot of our squatters, They Schools by Dead Prez. And it speaks about at the end how their schools are not teaching us how to solve our own problems, how to get our families to work together, how to get our fathers back in the home. The entire financial wealth system, minority wealth system in the world is built on pumping as much money, as much drugs, as much alcohol, as much misinformation as possible so that we are not doing what you're proposing.
The issue you're mentioning is critical because education is not just about education now. It has become a commercial hub where universities are mopping money from the community.
Yeah.
School fees, where book writers are mopping money, where food suppliers are mopping money into running these institutions we call universities and education. And above all, the red tape of passing and failing and etc., which is a well-managed and oiled system. I mean, to be honest with you, hustler, how many hustlers out there have a degree behind their back? I mean, even on the top notch to say Bill Gates, to talk about Mang Mang and the Mutsepe who are making money here, or Ramaphosa, to tell me how many of them can be glotting over a degree behind their back.
Yeah.
So it's not true. Let's first of all remove that notion. It's not true. Don't tell your children, get educated, my child, and you get a job and you live nicely. It's not true. Otherwise, why are graduates struggling with unemployment?
We've got 40% in this country, graduates are unemployed.
Education is just a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. So unless and until education meets the needs of the community and you ushering in a solution, becoming a bridge to what the community needs, and they're prepared to pay a premium for it, then you can look at converting a piece of paper into actually an action plan of how you can implement this. But again, how can we transform that? Because for you to be occupied in a political state, you must own this piece of paper. Not because you can do the job, but because you can do the piece of paper. So the world is suffering right now in the hands of educated people.
I'd like to say thank you for the fact that you've written 15 books. I'd like to thank you, Sbusiso, for the fact that you've written books. I've written 13 books. I think one of the things that people need to know is we need to write our own stories, document our own stories, our own solutions. These become our books now, saying, these are problems I've identified, this is how I solve them. Oh, I don't have solutions, but these are things I identified.
I released one on Monday, actually, entitled African Questions and African Solutions. I was going to write the first book in the world of that nature from my own philosophical gymnastics, and I was getting excited about it. I wanted to write a book that had no statement in it. And 60% of that book, African Questions, African Solutions, it's actually questions. There's no, I'm not recommending anything. I only used the last 20% to say, in some of these issues, this is what I think. Now, the importance of that piece of work that I've done, which is available on Take a Lot right now, it is that many of our masters and graduate students, postgraduate and doctorate students, they are writing these beautiful theses and beautiful papers, but they are answering the wrong questions. So I drafted the 7 issues that I'm talking about on the deconstruction.
Yeah.
Then I went into each one of those subjects and I bundled them with questions. So you might find 10, 15 pages of questions asking, for example, economy. What is an economy? Who benefits from it?
Yes.
What is it built upon? And who makes money in an economy? What are the common people doing in an economy? What is the government doing with an economy? Is there an economics of politics? Is there an economics of religion? Is there an economic of healthcare? So 14 pages of rattling with questions. So that if you are supposed to write your PhD degree, for example, you just go in there and pick up that piece of document and pick up those questions. And by the time you answer the first 3-4 pages of those questions, that's enough research paper already.
Yeah.
So I wrote that book deliberately to encourage many of our graduate students, and I pity them. It's a grace. It's grace from our ancestors that I was given maybe a slightly faster mind to digest quite a voluminous quantity of information. But some of our young people out there who have grown up on bubblegum and cornflakes might not have the privilege and the same advantage. And I'm saying so very gracefully.
Yes.
That is not everybody who could vigorously interrogate issues at that level.
somebody who interrogates them nicely, the way you've put them as well. A book that I would recommend is a book called Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, I think.
Claude Anderson.
The book that he had written before that I'd also recommend is Black Labor, White Wealth. Breaks them down nicely. I'll recommend it. Go check that out. It's by Dr. Claude Anderson. Yeah.
I was given one by Zim Kawana, Black Music, White Money.
Black Music, White Money. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to go check that out.
It's an old book. It's an old book.
I have not
quite
read it.
interesting.
We're dropping books. The Miseducation of the Negro. Dr. Carter. Dr. Carter Woodson.
No, let me give them a nice one. Go on Telegram. Go there to a page called Reading Club Farmers of Thought.
Reading
Club Farmers of Thought. FOT.
Okay.
On Telegram.
Okay.
I've uploaded more than 2,500 black books there. It's a full virtual library.
Okay.
So if any one of the students they wants to start reading from the Zoom economics to black economics to ancient Kemetic knowledge systems to...
This is what I wanted to ask when I was saying congrats on the books and congrats on the new book as well. I wanted to ask, because I know we've spoken about it, indigenous knowledge systems and farmers of thought.
Excuse me,
and the contribution to education.
Before you answers that question,
Sure.
can you please remind us the book that you've just dropped on Monday, what is it called?
It's called African Questions and African Solutions.
African Questions.
And African Solutions, yes. You can-
African Solutions.
It's on Take a Lot already and on Amazon. Yeah.
African Solutions. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sure.
Daniel. Sorry, brother.
Indigenous knowledge systems, farmers of thought, the work that you're doing. And I just want to add that I think it's very powerful that you're getting people to begin interrogating the questions that we're asking. Because part of the reason why we're coming up with the wrong solutions might be because we're answering the wrong questions. So thank you very much for that.
And honestly speaking, this decolonization project is rather frustrating because you are coming at the tail end of the conversation when children have already drunk the poison to the brim. Instead of them asking what they drank first,
Yes.
they're asking you who is questioning what they've been drinking all along.
Why must I go to school? Why must I eat this?
You know, they've already accepted
Yeah.
that for you to make it in the society, the structure is like this, like this, like this, like this. And you come around and you challenge the very status quo to which they are aspiring for. And some of them feel like we've gone too far. We can't turn back. But I know it took one generation to lose land. It will take one generation to get it back. It took one generation to say yes, boss. It will take one generation to say no, boss. It just takes one generation.
That is sick enough for
To
being
say,
sick
Jesus,
enough.
pack your bags
Sick
and go
and
back
tired
home.
of being sick and tired.
As much as one generation says, come in. So for me, it's not science fiction. It just, we need to be tired enough, we need to be fed up enough, and we need to be hungry enough for success to say to ourselves, enough is enough of becoming a dumping yard of European gods, European economics, European politics and these democratic lies, European education. And finally, I think our generation is beginning to wake up and smell the coffee that, man, hell no, someone has been lying to us all along. This fella hanging in the sky, supposed to come back and assist us, looks like he's not coming. And when man claps you on one cheek, give him the other cheek. And that only appears to black people. Because a white man is allowed to do that. Qua! And the Bible says, give him the other cheek. What about us as black people? When are we also going to strike the white man? Because we still have a chance also to be given the other cheek.
Sure. Let us strike
Does that
you
make sense?
and then you can get
Does that
the
make
other
sense?
cheek.
Totally makes
When
sense.
you have smashed me, it's fine. You have struck me.
It doesn't
Sure.
make sense.
And you can get away with
No,
it.
It doesn't. It
Now,
doesn't.
when my turn comes, no. The Bible says forgive and love those that hate you. You know, this gospel have kind of messed up the African mind, killed our zeal, and kind of crippled our energy. Because right now, when we look at a white man, we are looking at someone who looks like Jesus. His fellow white man. You can't fight a man who looks like your savior. So even the iconography itself is colonial. Because by accepting the religion, you have already crippled yourself politically.